Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Johns Hopkins School of Education, Doctor of Education virtual webinar. My name is Sion John. I'm the Assistant Director of Admissions. Also presenting today, we have Dr. Stephen Pape, Professor and Program Director at Johns Hopkins School of Education. Before we get started, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. First, today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share a link with you after the event is complete. We welcome you to revisit the content yourself and share it with your colleagues or friends who might be interested in the program as well. Also, please take a second to see if your mic is on mute right now. Please have your mic on mute at all times during the presentation. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Please type your question in the chat box and Dr. Pape and I will read and answer your questions. Next, I would like to share the agenda for today's virtual webinar. We will kick off the presentation sharing an overview of the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Then Dr. Pape will introduce himself and discuss an overview and details of the Doctor of Education program. Lastly, I'll wrap it up with admissions requirements and leave the floor open for questions at the end. To start, quick facts about Johns Hopkins School of Education. We are one of 9 schools at Johns Hopkins University. We began offering college courses for teachers in 1909 and then became our own school in 2007. For school enrollment, we have approximately 2,600 programs, and all programs leading to licensure are approved by the Maryland State Department of Education. We are proud to share that the Johns Hopkins School of Education is consistently ranked one of the top schools in education by the U.S. News and World Report. At this time, I am going to hand the floor over to Dr. Pape. He is going to introduce himself and present on the Doctor of Education program.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Stephen Pape, and I'm a professor in the School of Education. I've been the director of this program since 2013 when it began. My research interests are in the area of technology-enhanced classroom contexts, typically within middle school and Algebra 1 classrooms. And I was educated as an educational psychologist, so my degree is in learning and instruction. Here, the Doctor of Education program. Okay, so program overview. We decided, we put this program together in 2012, looking at the landscape of education in the 21st century, thinking about the advances in technology, moving the program to an online space, thinking about the science of learning and how both adults as well as children learn, and for adults within online spaces. And also considering the emergence of the private education sector. So our students come to us from many different areas. These areas include K-12, or I should say K-16, higher ed, as well as ed industry. The program objectives are to really prepare an exceptional core of educators and educational leaders who can set a high standard for education and are equipped to meet the myriad changes associated with improving learning outcomes. And we do this through examining a real-world problem of practice. So as you consider your application, in your application you have to write an essay on a problem of practice that you've encountered within your experience, within your context of professional practice. The first year, we try to hold our students to really examining that problem so that we understand the problem within the context of a system. The system being both broad as well as narrow within the context of professional practice. Following this examination, We ask students to begin to think about powerful interventions and looking at the literature related to interventions that might support you to have an impact or intervene in this problem, or at least a portion of the problem. And then in the final dissertation, you would rigorously evaluate the changes that you have made within your context of professional practice. The program requires 90 credits beyond the bachelor's degree. Typically, master's degrees are 30 to 36 credits. We automatically transfer 36 credits, up to 36 credits, if you have them in your master's. And you are able to transfer in or petition to transfer in 6 additional credits. So the minimum number of credits is 48 credits that have to be completed here at Johns Hopkins University. Each of our students, will look at the program in a moment, but our students choose a specialization and they vary per cohort. So each year we change the specializations. For the 2019 cohort, we are running the entrepreneurial leadership in education, the mind, brain, and teaching, as well as the online teaching and learning specializations. And this has a focus in instructional design, and many of our students come to us from higher education for this specialization. Additional specializations are urban leadership and technology integration to support learning K-16. We pride ourselves on the rigor, relevance, and powerful interventions that our students create. Our program is for working practitioners, but the rigor is significant, and it's important to understand that. We work toward relevance because we ask you to think about a problem or practice within your context of professional practice and really consider how you might intervene powerfully in relation to this situation or issue that you have been grappling with in your experience. Typically, students complete the program in 3 to 4 years. The program is situated for a 3-year program, but it is very packed for the working practitioner. And so therefore, the working professional, and therefore some of our students choose to do 4-year and even 5-year programs. Typically, it is online and asynchronous with some synchronous support. So the majority of our instruction is asynchronous, but there is a lot of support systems that we have created within the program to increase the retention and make certain our students complete the program. The other unique feature of our program is that the dissertation is taken up within coursework throughout the 3 years. So during the first year, you are writing what we call year 1 paper, which I'll explain in a few moments. But that paper is the first 2 chapters of your dissertation, or at least the beginnings of them. Certainly needs to be refined. During year 2, you write the 3rd chapter of your dissertation through the coursework, as well as the 4th chapter within the evaluation course. So by the end of the 2nd year, most students typically have their 4 chapters for their presentation of their proposal in good shape. Now, there's always work to be done with your advisor. The curriculum structure includes 4 classes plus electives in foundations of education. These courses include contemporary approaches to educational problems, disciplinary approaches to educational problems, multicultural education, and multiple perspectives on learning and teaching, which is a theory of learning course. Students take 9 credits at present of applied research and evaluation. These are focused on writing your dissertation. And then there's a specialization, excuse me. The Applied Research and Evaluation is our sequence of research methods courses. Research Methods 1, Research Methods 2, and the evaluation course in the second year. The specialization area is 4 courses as well. Depending upon the specialization, they vary. And then the 9 credits in the applied dissertation is where you take up your dissertation. There are several transition points within our program. As I mentioned a moment ago, after the first year of the program, students work during that summer with their advisor on chapters 1 and 2 of the dissertation. This is what we call the year 1 paper, and it's the first real transition point within the program. This is an examination of factors related to the problem of practice. And so we have identified a problem of practice. In chapter 1, you look at factors that the literature tells us might be connected or related to that problem. For example, if you were looking at teacher attrition as your problem of practice, you might understand from the literature that morale within the school is a factor related to teacher attrition. In chapter 2, then, you might report on data around morale within your school. For example, if you were a principal, to see whether that factor was actually a factor related to teacher attrition within your building. The second transition point is the comprehensive exam. It is taken after all of the core courses are completed, and that's typically after year 2. It is oral. It includes the research methodology courses, as well as the 4 foundations courses that I discussed earlier. At the same time, students are completing their dissertation proposal. The dissertation proposal consists of 4 chapters. The first 2 chapters, as I spoke about a moment ago. Chapter 3 is a literature review on interventions. What have people in research done in relation to the factors that you have examined or looked at within your context? And then your methodology to evaluate the intervention that you are going to enact within your context of professional practice. That is defended orally as well. And then the final transition point is the dissertation oral defense, which is typically done after year 3, and in some cases after year 4. I've spoken a lot about our applied dissertation because we're very proud of the unique dissertation that we've created. It is a culminating process of independently completed pieces, as I've explained, through the coursework. But these are all interrelated projects. They're embedded within the coursework and distributed across the 3 years. The focus is on a problem of practice within the context, and there we look for potential for significant change within the context of professional practice and/or implications for policy. Another unique feature of the Johns Hopkins University Doctor of Education program are the support structures that we have created to ensure that students are able to continue through their studies and complete the program. The first one, in June, after folks are admitted, we have an online orientation to the program. It's pretty extensive. It is to be completed by late July, when we have a 3-day face-to-face orientation. This orientation is critical but not mandatory, and I'll speak about that in a moment. In subsequent years, after the first year, the students come back to Baltimore for a 3-day residency each July, late in July. We have a faculty cohort lead. This faculty member shepherds the cohort through the program over the 3 years. Students are also matched with an advisor during late late during the first semester, so fall of the first semester. Also, the instructors are a support structure because they are also providing you feedback on your dissertation as you are working on it within your classes. You refine your dissertation with your advisor following instructor feedback. So there are multiple opportunities for powerful and substantive feedback. We also have created what we call a dissertation clinic. Our research methodology faculty work with students and faculty advisors on issues around research methodology. And this can be one-on-one, or they have created many videos about different techniques that may or may not be in courses. Our librarians hold webinars throughout each semester that are pertinent to the work that students are doing during that semester. Finally, we have a lot of online resources on a program site and cohort site. So there's two sites that are linked. All students are in the program site. There are materials such as writing materials, dissertations, dissertation examples, all of the forms are there. And then the cohort site is a separate space for the cohort faculty lead to work with the students in their cohort. So let me talk a little bit about orientation and residency. And the previous slide, you see one of our cohorts coming in, and it's quite a unique opportunity for students to come together, to meet each other online, face to face, as they are thinking about, as they're working with these individuals online. It has been amazing to us in our 7 years now, 6 years, 7 years, that the number of relationships that are built. And one of the unique opportunities within the Johns Hopkins University are the students that come to us. They are from many, many nations across the United States as well, but many different positions within educational contexts. That really is quite a unique opportunity. The orientation is 3 days, as I mentioned a moment ago. It is not mandated to come after the first year. It is not mandated the first year either, but you must complete all of the sessions electronically before you are allowed to participate in coursework. So the orientation is only required the first year, but can be done virtually. And this really allows the program faculty to jumpstart the work that students are doing. So in the first year, students are oriented to the program, certainly, but they also begin to work on their problem of practice with faculty in many different sessions. The second year, the students are engaged in practice for comprehensive examination. The third year, they typically are thinking about their proposal defense and their work for that work. So here are some, I'm not going to read all of these, but here are some past dissertation studies. And from these, this list, you can really tell the varied nature of the students and the problems that they bring to us to investigate within our program.
All right, so moving on to the application requirements. Applicants must submit a completed application, which can be found on our website. Keep in mind there is an $80 application fee when you submit your application. Be sure to provide an accurate email address when you submit your application and that you check it regularly, as this is how we will communicate with you throughout the application process. Next, you will need a current resume CV. Your personal statement should not exceed more than 750 words. Please refer to our website to learn more about the essay prompts for the EdD program. Moving on, you should also submit 3 letters of recommendations. These letters should include at least the following: a professor from your master's program who can speak on your competency to conduct rigorous scholarly work, and a school organization official who can attest to your qualifications to pursue a doctorate degree. Impact on your professional practice and knowledge of and support for your area of research. Please keep in mind this letter should indicate the school organization official's understanding that you will be doing research within your professional context. Next, the GRE is not a requirement for admissions consideration to the EdD program. It is optional. However, submission of a GRE test score is an opportunity for an applicant to present additional evidence of the quantitative and verbal skills required for the doctoral level study. Official transcripts. We need all official transcripts, including institutions you may have taken courses but did not receive a degree. Again, this is from all post-secondary institutions that you have attended. Lastly, all applicants will be asked to complete a virtual interview after submitting their application.
You covered what I wanted to cover.
These are key tentative deadlines for next year. Application will open early July 2019. Application deadline will be mid-January. Please keep in mind we would need all supporting materials submitted by the state. Keep in mind we also have to have your transcripts evaluated. It takes approximately 4 to 6 weeks to have your transcripts evaluated, so please start the process as early as possible. Applications will be reviewed from January to mid-March. Finally, admissions decisions will be released mid-March. There are a few additional steps you need to take in order to complete the application process if you are an international student. You must submit a TOEFL or IELTS score. If your degree was completed outside of the US, you will need to complete a course-by-course evaluation. Additional information can be found on our website. Tuition and fees. We anticipate the base tuition for the 2019-2020 academic school year will be $4,373 per 3-credit course for the first year of the program. Keep in mind, this excludes textbook, course materials, graduation fee, and registration fee. Please note, additional fees apply and are charged separately from tuition. We encourage you to view our tuition and fees page on our website for the most up-to-date information about tuition and fees so that you can understand the complete picture of the costs associated with becoming a student here at Johns Hopkins School of Education. If you are interested in applying for financial aid, we strongly encourage you to apply for financial aid when you start your application. Please note the recommended submission of the FAFSA application, which is next year, March 15. There are also limited endowed scholarships available. Application for the endowed scholarship will be due March 15th next year. Please visit our website if you have any questions relating to financial aid. You'll find contact information for the Office of Financial Aid and details of loans and scholarships that are available. If you have any questions relating to your application, please feel free to email or call us. Also, this is the address you would use to send any supporting materials. If you have any questions relating to the program, feel free to contact the program coordinator, Kathy Chow. Thank you for attending the Doctor of Education virtual webinar. At this time, Dr. Pape and I would like to open up the floor for questions.
So I'm just going to read some of the questions and then respond as best I can. The first question is about full scholarships. No, we do not offer full scholarships, but we do offer some partial scholarships as we just mentioned. So there are no full scholarships. The next question is, what opportunities exist for candidates without a context for practice? This is an issue within our program, and typically students who do not have a context of professional practice are not admitted to our program. This is definitely a program that requires that you are a working professional and that you have a context in which to do your dissertation. We do give partial scholarships, however, as mentioned a moment ago. For the technology integration specialization, is that available for 2012 enrollment, or will that be a future specialization? We anticipate that the next technology specialization cohort will be brought in for the fall of 2021. But please certainly check our website in May and June when we will announce our specializations. The next question, are there any resources provided for lodging for those that might be traveling from out of state for the face-to-face orientation? No, there are not resources for these 3-day meetings. That is part of the cost of the program that you need to pay just on your own. Although, as I said earlier, it is a very important experience. Some students, especially students who are coming from afar, might consider just doing it online. And that would be asynchronously after the orientation program. If you know you're moving in the middle of your 3-year program, is that an issue for your POP and dissertation? For example, start year 1 in one district and state, and then years 2 and 3 are in another state. This occurs often. It can, if you know that it's going to occur, it's best to work with the faculty cohort lead very, very early in the program so you can situate your progress within the program to accommodate this shift. For example, if you were going to leave between year 1 and year 2, I might suggest that you wait, that you slow down the first year and take 1 course per semester to lengthen the first year into 2 years in order to not have to redo some of the work that you're doing in the first year. But we really do encourage students not to make changes because it can delay their graduation, although it is not an insurmountable issue whatsoever. And we work with students all the time who make changes within their context of professional practice. This past fall, we had approximately 430, I believe, applications to the program. And we accepted just about 20% of those students. So about 80 students. We don't know what the enrollment will be yet because the students are required to accept admission by May 1st and submit a deposit on their seat in the program. And we anticipate that the same number will be both applying as well as accepting. We have a very high rate of transition from acceptance to enrollment, which we're very proud of. The next question, will the same specialization areas be offered for the 2021 cohort? If not, again, Those will be determined, we are determining them now, and they will be up on our website late May or early June. Typically, we have an MBT, or Mind, Brain, and Teaching, as well as an Entrepreneurial Leadership and Education. And then we have a third specialization that rotates between the Urban Leadership and the True Technology specializations. Unfortunately, I do not have average GRE scores of accepted students this past year. When are students notified whether they receive a merit scholarship, and what percentage of students receive this type of scholarship? It's actually about 10% of the students who receive a scholarship from the program. All scholarships, both SOE scholarships as well as program scholarships, are offered on or about April 15th. And students must let us know by May 1st whether they intend to come to the program. Next question, is it possible to focus your coursework toward a particular functional area within your specialization? For example, if you're interested in international education within, absolutely. As any doctorate would allow, you, within the specialization, you focus on a particular area that both connects to your context of professional practice, but also your interests and your future work. Is it possible to integrate Mind, Brain with the online learning specialization? So the possibility there would be to take electives. All students in the online learning specialization would take a first course called Diffusion of Innovation. In the Mind, Brain, and Teaching specialization, students are required to take what we call Mind, Brain, Science, and Learning. But students in the online program could take the MBSL, the Mind, Brain, Science, and Learning course as an elective, as well as other specialization courses. Are individuals who work for a federal agency instead of a school district able to apply to the EdD? Absolutely, Courtney. We have many federal folks who come to our program from many different agencies within the federal government. Interestingly, I think it's a high number, actually. What is the class schedule like? How many classes per week, hours per week, approximately at what time will classes be held? So our classes are predominantly asynchronous. So they all open up on a Friday with a start date of Sunday. The majority of our courses are constructed within 2-week sessions. So the majority of the courses have basically 1 week of reading and maybe group interaction, and then a second week where you're interacting within the course, within the learning management system. So there is no particular time that courses are held because they are asynchronous. Also, the synchronous sessions are often held both morning and evening to accommodate for time zones. And our faculty collaborate on those. So if you're in one of the multi-section courses during the first or second year, a different faculty member from one of the different sections may be offering that synchronous session, but it's the same material. All of the synchronous sessions are also recorded for you to view at a later time. I received my master's degree over 10 years ago. Is it possible to have someone else write the third letter of recommendation? Yes, we understand this is an issue. And yes, it is possible. But it is important that we receive a letter that is indicative of your potential to do doctoral work. As we mentioned a moment ago, it is also very important that your letter of recommendation includes an indication from somebody within your context of professional practice that speaks to the project that they think you think you're going to do at the time of admission. Certainly it may change over the year. And just one other little hint, we have recently moved to Slate, which is an online admissions program. And we noticed this year that many of the referees were just typing a small little bit in the window where they were to submit their recommendation, because they felt, we believe, that clicking the boxes of indicating one's potential, 1 to 2%, top 1 to 2%, 5%, 10% was sufficient. And we were surprised this year that the letters of recommendation were less well developed. So I would encourage your recommenders to submit an actual letter and not just type their recommendation within the small box that is available on the admissions application portal. So I am currently an educator at an MS graduate program. Although the EdD program anticipates practicing educators in the K-16 instruction, as well as education administrators, will this program also be just as appropriate for educators at the graduate school level? Yes, absolutely. I believe so. Are there any applicants to SOE who have backgrounds outside of education? Yes, we have many folks who are outside of education, but they're presently applying, say, an MBT within an educational organization. Yes, engineering and technology, as long as you are focused in on education in those areas, or have some connection to thinking about educational context, whether that be training in engineering or thinking about how to construct technology to support learning. All of those things are possible. Our program does not simply cater to teaching and learning as its main focus. Okay, I think I responded to this. Next question. You already have a PhD and have worked in the U.S. Carnegie Mellon. I'm a professor of computer science and learning technology at a top university in Latin America with hundreds of publications and thousands of citations. Yet my official undergraduate is below 3.6. Climate. Our application review is very much holistic. So while we do look at undergraduate and graduate GPAs, we are very much looking at the letters of recommendation, the potential for articulating a problem of practice that is a fit with the specialization. So fit with specialization is important. The interview process, which is virtual as well. Students, once they complete their applications, are sent a link to an organization called Kira Talent. And they do their interviews and a writing sample on Kira virtually. So we really have a holistic perspective. A GPA below 3.6 is not going to harm somebody, in particular when you have a PhD. Our graduation rate at present is about 65%. But remember, we only started the program in 2013, and that number has been going up every single year. Our anticipated, our goal is to get that to be above 80%. So in terms of the online virtual interview, everybody is sent a link and is asked to participate in the virtual interview. When you click on the Kira link, you will come to practice sessions, but then ultimately you will come to 2 questions that are randomly selected for you as an individual. And they ask you questions, and then you record your response on your computer, and we review it during the application review process. The third part of that interview is a writing sample, which is required to be done online and without any cutting and pasting. So we're really looking at the ability of students to be able to write online in that context, which would be similar to our courses. If we are local, can we take a combination of online and on-campus classes? That would have to be discussed with the cohort lead. The issue with taking face-to-face courses is that the courses are not set to support you in doing your dissertation. So we typically dissuade any students from trying to take an online class as one of the electives. Currently working with students at risk in a moderate poverty. So we have 2 types of scholarships. The SOE endowed scholarships are based on need, and the program scholarships are based on the application process and ratings of the faculty. How many hours per week per course should a student budget for classwork? That's a very important question, because some folks sometimes believe that online programs are less work. I don't want to understate the rigor of our program, which we're very proud of. And we anticipate that students take between 15 and 20 hours per week per course. And so we're looking at approximately 40 hours, 30 to 40 hours a week. That might be on the high end, but I'd rather state it on the high end than the low end. Will the mind, brain, and teaching specialization be available for fall? Yes, it's typically run every year. Prior degree is, no, a prior degree in education is not required. Okay, so all the questions about specializations I cannot answer until the faculty advisory committee decides on those with the faculty in late May, early June. We do not publish bios of current students, although there are some testimonials on our website. But we do offer a mechanism to allow students to speak to some of our students who are in areas similar to their area. The next question is about the faculty advisor. We have a pretty long, a pretty intense process around the selection of an advisor. Advisement is a match between the advisor's area of expertise and the student's area of interest. And we have an advisement coordinator who works with students along with the cohort lead to match students, and then students and that advisor, potential advisor, who might be within JHU or outside of JHU, depending upon the student's experience or area of specialization, or area of inquiry, I really should say. We have those folks get together and have initial conversations, meet maybe once or twice before a decision is made. We do not assign advisors to students. So we help you get matched with that advisor, but we don't assign them necessarily. The next question is about master's credit. If your master's is less than 36 credits, you can either take the additional credits during the program, or you can take the credits prior to the program. And if you do so, and you don't have a strong research methodology background, we really suggest that you take a basic research methodology course to support your work throughout the program. The next question is about the neuroscience and psychology. Yes, this is certainly aligned. So the next question is about career advancement. We have just begun to collect data on career advancement. And I believe that the last data that I looked at suggested that about 45% of our students, and I need to get that data again, have experienced some level of advancement. So does the content of this program support candidates who are interested in the community and family context? I would say that that area of interest might be best situated within the urban leadership context, urban leadership specialization. But we do have several faculty members who work in the area of community and family context of education, so it's very possible. In terms of the degree, it is a Doctor of Education. It does not indicate online or face-to-face. Is it the same? No, actually our degree is very, very unique in terms of its focus on context of professional practice and situating the dissertation throughout the program. So maybe I'm not answering your question, but it has this, our degree has the same rigor and allows for the same qualifications as any face-to-face degree. So in terms of reaching out to someone in the program, please contact Kathy Chow, and she may be able to get you in touch with somebody. We typically don't vet problems of practice prior to the admissions process. So we won't go into detail on a problem of practice, but one of us likely could be set up to have a conversation with you. I think I've answered some of these questions. You need to have, you do not need to be working in an education environment, and we accept approximately 80 to 85 students a year. Sean's question is a good one. How specialized should our problem of practice be interwoven into our letters of recommendation? It is really important within the application process that we see a letter from somebody from the context of professional practice who has been able to state that they are aware and are able to support you in doing the work within your context. When we run into problems with students is when the context is not aware that you are going to be doing this work and doesn't support it, for example. So it's very important that we see a letter, and not every student is able to provide this, but it is an important part of the application practice. Our advisors manage between 6 and 8 students on their load, and it's part of their teaching load. I don't believe our dissertations are on the web, but you should be able to get the dissertations through the JHU library or contact Kathy Chow. So the letter of recommendations, there's 3 letters that are required. The first is a letter from somebody who knows your work as perhaps a master's student and can attest to your ability to do doctoral level work. The second is a school official who can attest to your qualifications to pursue doctoral degree, impact, etc. But in particular, that individual also can speak to your ability to do your research within the context of professional practice. And then there's a third letter. Typically, that letter comes also either from a second master's or a second school official. And I do want to say, not just a friend who says you're a good person, sorry. I just want to clarify what I heard regarding expectations. Applicants should be working professionals and should be anticipated budget. Yes, that is correct. If program is spread over there, what do you anticipate as coursework hours? Right. So if you decide to take the program in a longer period of time than the 3 years, then you would only take 1 course per semester. But please note that if you only take 1 course, you are not eligible for federal financial aid. So that's a caveat for some folks. But we do allow folks to take 1 course a semester. I don't suggest you do it for the whole program, mostly because it just becomes too long. And perseverance, while important, is hard to keep up. But certainly you could decrease. So some folks come to us and they decide for the first year that they want to take 1 course a semester to make it more, to ease their way into the program. Others have to do that during the middle of the program. Some folks decide not to do their dissertation in the 3rd year, but to write their proposal in the 3rd year and do their data collection in the 4th year. Once you've completed the 48 to 54 credits within the program, you are eligible to apply for what we call non-resident status. So once you finish the course credits, you can apply for the status, and the tuition presently for that per semester is only $1,300. So the later years, year 4, year 5, if you choose to do that, if you're not taking coursework, you can do it at a much reduced tuition rate.
It looks like there are no more questions. We are taking attendance, so in the chat box, if you can write your first and last name. If you signed in without having signing in without your last name, that would be very helpful for us. Thank you again for your interest in the Johns Hopkins School of Education. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
So I see one more question that just came in. Our program is year-round. It starts fall. It's fall, spring, summer. And you are all very, very welcome. We look forward to your applications.